Alright, hello everyone and welcome to AEW Discussion. I'm your host and AEW enthusiast, Dougie Doug. In today's episode, I'm going to be discussing Dynamite, January 11th, 2023 episode. And this was Dynamite's return to Los Angeles to the Kia Forum. And wouldn't you know it, this felt like a special night of TV, and it certainly looked like it with how loaded the card was on this show. And I think the biggest thing it had going for it was the conclusion of the Best of 7 series. And with that, we'll go ahead and get right to the action, starting with Jon Moxley versus Hangman Page to open up the show. And this was more of a fight than a wrestling match between two guys who do not like each other, and as a result it featured a lot of physicality. The last lariat looked to have broken Moxley's nose, or at the very least rattled his head. I mean, I don't know exactly if what was happening after the match was a shoot or if it was a work. It's hard to, which I guess, that's good booking right there, but it certainly added to the theme of the match. And Paige got the win here, which I will admit surprised me a little bit, but it's also a good thing. Paige needed a win like this. It's been too long since he's earned a signature victory, and he got one here over the hottest star in pro wrestling in 2022. Where this takes him moving forward remains to be seen, but Paige can, at least with this win, start to rehabilitate his character that certainly got hurt by creative a year ago. And then, I think perhaps the most unexpected thing on this show, and I would probably say the best thing of the show, was at the return of Adam Cole here. It's been too long, and I'm glad to see that he's recovered from a concussion. It's a bit scary to think that how long it took, and then you kind of listen to him describing how it was and everything else, and you feel for the guy. But I guess it's great that he's able to get over that and continue his career. And not surprisingly, Cole was a total good guy here. He thanked the fans and he played up to the gratitude that he has for them in the wrestling business, which was the right call given the popularity he had when he first stepped through the curtain at All Out in 2021, and also the reaction he received here following his return from a lengthy absence. Plus, the current world champion's a bad guy, and there's also a major bad guy faction, the Jericho Appreciation Society, so it's not like he doesn't have options for opponents as a good guy character. And even as a good guy character, you could match him up with some other good guys. And your options aren't necessarily limited. Hey, when the opportunity arises and the initial happy to see you kind of wears off, turn him back. Cole is, an adaptive performer. He's great in the ring and he's perpetually over, so good guy, bad guy, doesn't matter, he can make it work. And now when he's back, Tony Khan has another chance to book him as a featured high-profile main event attraction than he is, and rather than the secondary figure that he was prior to his departure. Bryan Danielson versus Konosuke Takeshita. And I will admit, MJF certainly had himself a promo segment before the match. Went on a bit too long, but it was kind of funny at times. As for the match itself, well, there certainly were some lofty expectations for this match based on the quality of both guys' works. And you know what? I'd say they lived up to it. This was a hard-hitting match featuring some great sequences and reversals en route to a finish that saw the right guy go over, but now without effectively establishing Takeshita as a star of the future, which really is how matches like this should be booked, or just matches in general. One guy wins, one guy loses, but at least at the end the guy who loses put up a great effort that puts him over. If Danielson is going to be consistently producing bangers like this on the road to his showdown with MJF, then that's certainly going to be a fun journey for the AEW faithful to watch unfold. And then the show concludes with the Best of 7 series with the AEW World Trios titles, the Elite versus Death Triangle. And thankfully, this was the much-needed conclusion for this feud. The spots were great, showcasing some incredible athleticism and creativity. And there's no denying the work and risk that goes into executing the spots in this match that, to the type of precision that these guys did. Obviously, these are veteran competitors who have no shortage of experience in ladder matches. Still, this felt and looked like more of the same from this series. An abundance of fast-paced spots, some overreacting by one participant in particular, and typically brilliant offense from the Bucks, and some even better stuff from Pac. The team that was expected to win did, and all was right in the world of AEW, or something like that. Who knows if it is or not, but regardless, the Elite can now move on to their next feud, which will be interesting to see who they pick for that. Could they pick the House of Black? That would be a great first opponent for them. However, Omega and the Bucks, the goal should be trying to establish them as the greatest trio in AEW. Maybe greatest trio of all time. Bit lofty with that one. God, I think we can, hold off on that one. At the very least, make them the best trio in AEW. They are the Trios champions, after all. I would like to see the House of Black as Trios champions. I like them more as a trio. So maybe not House of Black as a trio. Maybe the Jericho Appreciation Society. I'm hesitant to say it because as much as I think that would be an interesting feud, I feel like it'd probably be overdone like everything else that is done with the Jericho Appreciation Society. Like, not all of it is bad. It starts off good, and then it gets done way too many times and ends up being terrible. So maybe not them, but yeah, it'd kind of be interesting to see. I don't think it'd be the Blackpool Combat Club. Bryan Danielson's kind of busy at the moment. Or I guess, you got Yuta and Claudio and Moxley. I guess you could utilize those guys. I don't know, it'd be interesting to see who they pick for a trio. But with the conclusion of this match, it is indeed time to retire not only this feud, but also this best of 7 thing. Let's never do this again. This was a terrible idea. Maybe next time do like a best of 3. Do a best of 3. Don't do a best of 7 if you're gonna do something like this again. And maybe then for the Elite, maybe for the next trio's title defense, maybe they can do something different than the chaotic party style tag matches that they have mastered. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but nice little, it's a good idea to try to change things up, make it so they don't look quite so one-dimensional as champions. And with that, I'm going to wrap up this episode of AEW Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like button down below.